Welcome back to Watch More Football, everyone. We're here to discuss another week of Premier League shenanigans, shall we say. As always, you're watching us on the Genreverse Sports YouTube channel, so please check out our back catalogue on there. While you're there, you can also check out our main Genreverse channel. We're a part of the Genreverse family, and our main channel's got loads of good stuff on there to do with entertainment. So, anime, geek culture, you name it. There's interviews, there's reviews, there's reactions, lots of good stuff on there. And you can find similar content to that in written format on lrmonline.com.
The zombie reviews. The zombie reviews. You guys check out on the Genreverse. We got 13 Days of Terror, zombie movies. Check them out. All right, go Cam.
Yeah, that's on there too. That's just brand new. Okay, lrmonline.com, you can check it as well. I've been reviewing The Penguin, just started. I've also been reviewing Agatha all along, if you fancy checking out what I thought of them. But there's loads of news on there as well. I'm here as always with Dave and Ryan, and producer Kel, who you just saw. But Mick is not sadly with us this week. There's a bit of a bug going around in the Mick household at the moment, so he can't be with us this week, sadly. But we shall soldier on without him. As always, we'll start with our predictions from last week. I didn't do too well, so over to you, Ryan.
Yeah, well,
how did it go?
Well, I didn't do brilliantly either. It's been a big shake-up on the table. I had to change every single position this week when I was updating the table. Like you say, Cam, you didn't have the best of weeks. Mick and Dave had really good weeks. In fact, and this really sort of dates back to a trend we saw last season and through the Euros, they've got a bit of a hive mind going on because every single game, although they sort of predicted maybe slightly differently, but they scored identically on every single game. So they got 3 points on the same games, they got 1 point on the same game, they got no points in the same games, which is all a bit of a stitch up, but it's meant that they've shot to the top of the table. And Mick is opening up a slight gap on you now, Cam. Kyle has...
Yeah, what's the difference?
So Mick's on 65. Mick's on 65. You're on 62. Dave's in second on 64. But Mick and Dave both got 11 this week, and Cam, you got 6. Kyle had a really good week. A nice, yeah. Oh, Kyle had a nice return to form. He got 8, so he's pulled ahead of me. And yeah, I had my normal sort of 5. So that's how the table looks. I am really starting to sort of fall behind the rest of the pack now. But hopefully that means I can stay in. At least there'll be one field that I don't have to change each week. So, but in terms of shocks of the week, there weren't many that really sort of, there's normally 2 or 3 that nobody gets right. Nobody had Everton beating Ipswich.
That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm the only one who had Brighton beating Newcastle, which I think is odd, to be honest, because I think Brighton are in a better place than Newcastle. Which is why I went for it.
Not when you watch the game. Wait till we get to the game, though.
Yeah, fine, but I hadn't watched the game. I hadn't watched the game. I hadn't watched the
game
at the point that I'd made the prediction, had I? So.
Well, maybe you should have. Anyway.
But the big one that we're going for this week for Shock of the Week, and it's a big one at the top of the table, is Arsenal getting beaten 2-0 by Bournemouth, down at Bournemouth. And, Bournemouth are a good side, but this was really a game that Arsenal should be winning, and they threw it away, basically. Or they did the damage to themselves.
You guys want to hear a funny story about that?
Yeah, go for it.
So this was one of the games that was televised here on our local NBC affiliate. So over the weekend, going by, completely ignoring it, I saw Arsenal was playing Bournemouth, and I was like, oh, look, my big gun team's playing Bournemouth. We watched a movie or something, and we came back, and I saw that they had lost, and I was like, holy shit, Bournemouth beat Arsenal? And then we changed the channel again.
And that is our match report from our Arsenal correspondent. Thank you, Kyle. We'll move on to... No, so I mean, it really sort of hinged on Saliba's red card in the first half, where Evan Nilsson gets played through on goal. Saliba drags him down sort of 40 yards out. There's no one anywhere near anything, and it's basically it's an old school sort of last man red card, isn't it? What are you guys' thoughts on that? I know we're not doing VAR watch on it, but did you guys see it?
Yeah,
it's a red card. He's a last man. It's a clear goal scoring opportunity, despite it being so far up the pitch.
Yeah.
There's no one that can come in. There's no one fast enough to catch him, basically. So 100% it's a red card.
Yeah.
And from there, Bournemouth sort of grew into it. Although Arsenal did have a chance through Martinelli at 0-0. But they won. They scored twice in the second half, didn't they? A really good corner corner routine with Ryan Christie scoring. Sort of corner that Arsenal would be proud of. And then another sort of crazy back pass and crazy passage of play leads to Evan Nilsson again winning another big decision and getting brought down for the penalty by David Raya. And Justin Kluivert put that away. So, I mean, there's a lot of talk going on about this is Arsenal's third red card this season, and each of those games, they're the only games that they've dropped points in is those red cards, and they're all sort of avoidable red cards as well, I'd say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they're trying to be a bit more mean this season and just getting the wrong side of it. You've got to be smarter than that.
I kind of think you're right. And it's just a couple of times it's went a bit over the edge. I still think the Rice one was a bit. I mean, by the letter of the law, I really don't think he should have went. I still genuinely think Trossard's was legit as well. I think he deliberately kicks it away, even though I
thought it was a foul. I should have got yelled for a foul anyway.
I couldn't remember what day of the week it was to do with that thing. But so a couple maybe, kind of unlucky. But no, I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Ryan. I think they're trying to be a bit nasty, and they just maybe once or twice went a bit too far.
That's working against them.
Yeah. Do we think they're still sort of well in the title race, or do we think they're possibly dropping off a bit?
Yeah, because they still play well. They still look a decent team.
I think
the only thing slowing down is these mistakes.
Yeah.
I think it's too early to count anyone. Well, count anyone out. I don't think there's that many teams that can really mount a challenge. But I think Liverpool, Arsenal, or City being maybe the three most likely. I don't think you can rule any of them out yet. Not for me anyway.
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's about. I think it's going to come down to as well how long Saka's out for, because obviously he missed the game with a hamstring injury picked up for England.
Yeah,
if that's going to be long term, because they've got some big games coming up.
We've got Liverpool next, haven't they?
They have, yeah.
And they're
missing
Saka for that. Saka and Saliba.
Yeah,
three of the best players, basically.
Yeah, they'll lose Saliba for is it 2 games because it wasn't violent, was it? So
no, 3 because it's a straight red here.
Right.
That'll be interesting.
I don't know.
I don't know. He's definitely out for the Liverpool game, which is massive. We'll see how they could be a bit further away by the end of that little period, I suppose.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right, to be honest. I think they'll go over this long period, and I think there's still points to get dropped from City. I don't think they don't start kicking into gear till after January, really, and. I think they've still got a couple of spells. They've still got Rodri out for the season. There's a couple. I mean, look, we get a result against them, and we're not playing that fantastic. Wolves were very close to getting a result against them this weekend as well. So it's not as if they're blowing people away. The most consistent team probably at the moment is Liverpool.
Haaland's on a bit of a goal drought as well.
For him, yeah.
For him, yeah. Well, no, I heard a stat that it was. I think it's 66 people have scored a goal since Haaland last scored a goal, which I have nothing else to compare that to, but it seems quite significant.
I mean, is that across like the entire world? Including 5-a-side games that kids have and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know who's counting. He scores a lot of goals. Let's just put it that way.
Every time Haaland scores a goal, a child in Africa dies, or something like that.
Chris Woods.
Oh no, that was Ramsey, wasn't it?
Though, you know,
Ramsey was out there killing celebrities.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we should go on to Team of the Week now, I guess. Which Haaland is definitely not in because he's finished. So this sparked a lot of debate. This Team of the Week this week in the group chat. Normally, it sort of picks itself, and we scrape the barrel for a couple of positions. But I think we've got a few people who are maybe unlucky to miss out this week. If we put it diplomatically. So we can have a chat about the people who made the cut and the people who didn't. So in goal, we've got Bart Verbruggen from Brighton. And I do have to laugh because we'll talk about the Newcastle Brighton game later, but Cam's stream of consciousness during the Newcastle game while I was out watching Havant and Waterlooville was just beautiful, because it was like, we're absolutely smashing these, we're dominating. Oh, that was the chance. I did see that was the chance. I bet Brighton will score a cheeky goal now, and literally 2 minutes later they're lumping up the pitch and big damn New Welbeck scores. Just one of those games. But yeah, Verbruggen was a bit of a wall and pulled off some great saves to deny Newcastle.
I hate it when teams have a blinder against you when you're in control. And
you know, they always have a blinder against your team, I find. Like I just, you know, it just
because that's the ones we remember.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, I quite often find with United, when we actually do start attacking well, the other keeper's on it, and the rest of the time they haven't got a save to make anyway. So, but yeah, that's a different conversation. Fullback, and this is where the controversy is. So we got Matty Cash for Aston Villa. I watched Match of the Day. I didn't really notice Matty Cash doing anything, but Cam was raving about him and apparently had like a 12 out of 10 on SofaScore and whatever else. So why is Matty Cash in here, Cam?
Well, I mean, I did watch some extended highlights of that game, and he did a lot of good work. But the main thing is the Aston Villa fans were raving about him. I think he may have won man of the match in the game. I don't know, but he was the one they were all interviewing after the game on various different fan voting sites. He got one man of the match over even Digne, who's had and other players who scored goals and stuff like that. He just wasn't in the highlights because he didn't do anything particularly spectacular, but that doesn't necessarily mean someone hasn't done an absolutely fantastic game. So I'm going to back the Aston Villa fans on this one, who all said he was the man of the match, or at least the vast majority of them across various social media sites said that. Yeah,
fair enough. Moving into centre back, I have forced Matthias de Ligt in over John Stones.
Did he get in? Jeez.
Yeah, because this is what happens when you let me do the team. I've got all the power. But I'm gonna state my case. Matthias de Ligt has had, I think he's maybe been scapegoated a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I think he's actually been quite solid since he's come in. But he was an absolute rock from what I saw against Brentford. He was really strong defensively against quite a physical team. He was also driving us up the pitch as well. There was one particular move where he won a header in his own box and managed to just carry the ball all the way up the pitch to set up Højlund for a chance. He had a clash of head. Well, I say he had a clash of heads. He went to head a ball away and caught a knee in the head for his trouble. He gave away a foul for that somehow, but he ended up bleeding from the head.
I think his head being too low. I did see that incident, even if it was in the highlights, and I think his head was a bit low. But I mean, it's just one of those things.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm not moaning about the foul, but you know, he sort of ended up with a bit of bleeding on his head, which took a bit of a while to get cleaned up. And basically, the reason United conceded in that game was right on half time. Brentford get a corner. The refs finally had enough of looking at de Ligt's bloody head. Tells him to go off and get patched up, and lo and behold, there's a gaping hole in the middle of the box, and Brentford score. And apart from that, I don't think really they threatened that much. So I wanted to get a United player in because I think it was, having watched the game back, it was quite a good performance from United. It was a sort of professional performance that we needed against Brentford. So I wanted to get a United player in, and de Ligt was there. So the other player that we were going to have was John Stones. the only reason he was ever in was because he got on the end of a corner right at the end of the match and scored a winner. And I don't think that on its own,
Yeah,
for Man
championship
City.
winning header, that.
Yeah, but I just
Those
don't
3
think that
points.
on
If
its
they win
own.
the league by 2 points,
I
John
can't
Stones
recall any
header
actual
did it.
defending he did all that game. So it could have been literally
He was
anyone on
probably
the end of
playing
that
up
corner.
front. It's one of Pep's team. He was probably playing left wing or right wing most of the
He does
time.
play
He
further
might have had
forward.
a good game.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't having it. You know, I feel like we get a City player scoring a goal and they get in, and
It happens all the time.
Yeah. Moving on, we got Michael Keane at centre back, who kept Liam Delap quiet for Ipswich, but also scored a really nice goal to make it 2-0 and seal the deal for Everton. Really well taken goal. And we've got Josko Vardiol for City, who did score a goal, but it was a lot better than just getting on the end of a corner. It was. I mean, you could play him up front and he wouldn't look out of place. I'll keep saying this, but he's ridiculous.
He's some player.
Yeah.
He could be playing. I mean, he kind of does play left wing, but
yeah,
you know, he's as good as most teams' actual left wingers that don't have to defend. You know, and the guy can defend as well. So yeah, good player.
Moving on to the midfield, I think the strongest case of anyone in this team of the week goes to Curtis Jones, because he was just a menace against Chelsea on Sunday. He won the penalty that opened the scoring. He could have scored another one. No, he could have won another one or another two, really. And then he scored what ended up being the winner, and just was just everywhere in both boxes, really. A really sort of all-round midfield performance from him.
He helped shut down Palmer, didn't he?
Yeah. And just the goal that he scored, it was just a beautifully worked goal as well. The cross from Salah was just ridiculous in terms of the disguise on it, because everyone was focused on Nunez, and
it's perfectly placed.
Salah just bypassed him perfectly for Jones to run onto it. It was really good move. Yuri Tielemans again. Cam, you're going to have to talk to me about this one, because I must have just not been paying attention during the Villa game.
Well, I mean, he did get an assist. You know,
Fine.
that's pretty clear if you check the stats, you know, which is not bad. But he had a very good game. I mean, wasn't it you that wanted to put Rodgers in or something like that? And I was saying
No, it wasn't me.
You know, Rodgers scored he scored a deflected goal, but I didn't think he had. Again, I watched some of the extended highlights of that one, and I thought Tielemans was their best midfielder, and they were very comfortable in that game. I mean, they might not have been spectacular, but you're going on about you wanted to get a Man United player in because you had a professional performance. That was a professional performance.
Fine.
You know, 100%.
I should say as well on that. So he did originally have both Villa fullbacks in the team, Dean, Cash, and then Tielemans as well. And I just felt for a box standard 3-1 win over Fulham, that was a bit much.
But Fulham are playing really, really well.
They are a good team. You're right. Yeah.
And it was an away victory as well, I believe.
It was. It was.
And Fulham have been beat. They beat us there. They I think, in fact, Fulham were the only unbeaten team in the league until this weekend.
We beat them on the first day of the season.
The City are unbeaten, aren't they?
It couldn't have been that then. No, are they? I don't know. Or was there something? There was another one team that was unbeaten until this weekend. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Fulham are doing well. Do you know? It may have been that. I don't know.
I think Fulham have created the most chances in the league, I think. I
think they've been better than the normal.
They have been good. They have been good.
Do you know what I mean?
But then so was Brentford.
Villa beating them comfortably were. But Brentford, it's been a one-trick pony, though, hasn't it? In terms of they score early, doing their magic.
They have to wait 45 minutes against United, so I think we
and then defend. But I'm not saying it was that you didn't have a good game.
Yeah, I'm not. I've got nothing against Aston Villa. I just didn't see anything remarkable about the performance. That was
Cam.
It's nothing like that.
Cam, the only team that seems to have one loss after this weekend and not having any other existing is Liverpool. But they may have lost
It's a City
earlier.
City lost? I
don't think they got two draws. They got two draws. I don't know if you guys are counting.
Yeah, you get a point for a draw.
Okay.
You get a point for a draw. So yeah,
Okay, so yeah, City has not been beaten then. They got 0 losses, and they're the only one with absolute 0 losses, but 2 draws, 6 wins.
Just clearly talking shit.
Wait till we play Spurs.
Anyway, moving on, because we've still got 4 players to get through on this thing. We've got Iliman Ndiaye from Everton again, who is just pulling the strings for Everton at the minute. He's the main creative outlet for them. And did he score or did he get an assist? I think he got an assist, didn't he, for McNeil?
Who's this we're talking about?
Ndiaye.
And I did score, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just double check that while you're talking.
Well, no, I think it was McNeil, wasn't it, and Keane, but Ndiaye must have assisted them and just got quite creative.
Struggling to find the game.
It was he did score 17th minute.
He scored the first goal.
He scored the first goal. Okay.
Assisted.
Right. Okay.
I
Got it the other way around. And what a goal it was too. And then moving on.
Very memorable.
Yeah. And then moving on to the front three. Again, we had a bit of debate on the left wing slot. Cam wanted Kulusevski. Mick wanted Son. I watched Match of the Day and I came down on the side of Mick. Kulusevski scored the first goal. He assisted.
Yeah, Kulusevski get man of the match.
Yeah, but we saw on one website that James Maddison got man of the match, even though he got hooked at half time, and Spurs were much better without him. So
that was the only voting man of the match. It wasn't actually journalists sitting going, who was the best player in that. But sometimes they'll just give it to MD that scores as well. Let's face it, don't they?
From my perspective, I think Son was pulling the strings. He was the creative outlet. He set up the second goal. He started the move that led to the second goal. He started the move that led to the third goal and actually should have scored it. It just went through via a couple of West Ham players, so it went down as an old goal. But realistically, that's his goal. Scored the fourth.
We should ask the Spurs fans all. Wait a minute, there won't be any Spurs fans watching the show because we slag them off every week. So let's scrap that. We won't ask the Spurs fans. Okay.
We'll ask the closest thing we have to a Spurs fan. He supports another North London team, so I'm sure he'll have an opinion, and he'll probably say Mohamed Kudus.
Kyle and I's fellow senior editor at LRM and Jean Reverse is Shockey, and he is actually a Spurs fan. But I guess he doesn't watch the show because he hasn't picked me up about how often we slag off his team at the moment. So we'll see. Well, I can ask him.
Yeah, ask him to comment on whether Son was better than Kulusevski, but we've gone for Son. On the other wing, we've got Fatawi from Leicester, who changed the game when he came on for Leicester. They were 2-0 down against Southampton, and I think was he the one who got fouled by Ryan Fraser for the red card? I don't know.
No, that was whoever scored the goal. It was Vardy.
Vardy.
He
okay.
pulled Vardy back for that one.
But what he did
created the first goal. He did basically solo created it, and he was just a menace. As soon as he come on, it just changed the game because he was just direct running at them, and they just couldn't handle him.
He nearly scored an absolute worldie that came off the post, and then in the follow up to that, I think he sort of was the catalyst for Southampton winning that penalty, for Leicester winning the penalty. But Leicester
came off a corner, I think, didn't it? No,
yeah. I think he had a long range shot and it sort of cannoned off the bar and it sort of got recycled and came back to him and he headed it at the back post. It got blocked and as Vardy's trying to get the rebound, he gets fouled.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think.
But he had a couple of other chances beyond that, and Leicester ended up winning that game 3-2. So he's in for the impact that he's had there. And then up front, we've got Evan Nilsson from Bournemouth, who, despite not scoring, was a big part in 2 of the key incidents. So it was him who got fouled when he broke. Him who got fouled by Saliba for the red card, and then he won the penalty that sealed the deal. So we put him in. There was a bit of suggestion for Rasmus Højlund, who I thought had a really good game. He looked like a proper centre forward. Ollie Watkins scored a nice goal. But other than that, I don't think there were many other strikers that were worth it. Chris Wood maybe, but I didn't see any of the game last night. So
he's had a good season, but I wouldn't say he had a fantastic game. He scored the goal. It's just one of those. So.
Yeah. But that is our team of the week for game week 8, and I think that's the longest we've ever spent on that segment. But yeah, if you disagree, please do tell me. Tell us why we're idiots and who you'd have instead.
Yeah. Just don't agree with Alan Shearer or Troy Deeney's.
Oh yeah, Alan Shearer's was diabolical, wasn't it?
Yeah, terrible. Okay, well, we're on to our moment of the week then, and our moment of the week this week, we decided to go for the red card that Kudus got for West Ham. Bit of a strange one. You'll see a kind of image of it on the screen at the moment. We can't show the actual footage, but it's a kind of, it was almost a bit of nothing between him and Kulusevski.
No, it's Van de Ven.
Or was it Van de Ven? Sorry, yeah. It was on the ground, and he kind of maybe gave him a tiny wee kick or something like that, but nobody was getting any trouble for it. And Van de Ven got up and did the whole, into his face thing, and then Kudus just flipped and started slapping people. You're getting a slap. You're getting a slap.
Go for a kill streak, wasn't it?
Yeah, we need to get that YouTube video on as the stinger at the end. Maybe Kyle can superimpose Kudus' face on it. So. No. There's a YouTube meme video that I mentioned in the chat at the time. It was weird because at first it looked like Van de Ven had squared up to Kudus and then went down like a sack of spuds at the lightest contact, and I was sort of saying, "Oh, that's a bit poor from Van de Ven." But then you see, obviously, it's bad challenge from Kudus. He then kicks him while he's on the ground, and then slaps him. And then he slaps Pape Matar later on. At some point, Richarlison's entered the scene and been fatally injured.
I think he just got left out. Richarlison, I don't know what he was doing on the floor.
Well, it looks as if he got almost an accidental elbow. So, like, while he was running in, he just ran into Kudus' arm, basically. Yeah. That's what Richarlison done. Yeah. And the commentators at the time, I remember, were saying probably he got the sorest one out of the three of them, but it wasn't a foul in that one.
Well, I think like Dave said at the time, there's about 3 things that could have been sent off for in that whole incident. And the wild thing is, there's so much going on in this image that we're showing on the video. That doesn't even tell half the story of it, does it? Like,
it's beautiful. I was so entertained by it. Yeah. Screw with football. This is what I want.
A bit of that every now and again. I mean, West Ham fans will hate it because now he's going to miss several games, and he's probably their best player. And they kind of lost the game quite badly after that. Although things.
Well, no, they were already 4-1 down at that point.
Yeah.
So Kudus was.
I think that was kind of part of the I can't be bothered with this anymore, because he'd scored the opening goal, so they were 1-0 up. And it was him that scored the goal. So, it just fell apart for them. I have to say, I don't think Lopetegui is going to see out the season. West Ham fans, you know what they're like. If they ain't winning, they get twitchy. They won our European Cup with David Moyes, and it was Moyes out all last season. And everyone, and you guys said as well, they're going to regret this when they get rid of him for some fancy, attractive football, and then they just get smashed every week.
But the thing is, they didn't do that. They didn't do that though, because Lopetegui is Spanish Moyes, as we've said multiple times. He's Spanish Moyes, but he's Spanish Moyes with less defensive structure. Like, they've been so open this season compared to last season, but still not really all that.
Maybe Lopetegui's trying something different.
There was a lot of expectations with West Ham this year as well.
Yeah.
I mean, they spent a lot of money in the market.
They spent a lot of money. They signed a lot of high-profile players, and I don't think any of them are really getting a game. I know Tadebo's been starting the last couple of games, but he hasn't really impressed. Wan-Bissaka's been anonymous. Full crew can't get on the pitch. It's all a bit odd over there.
I mean, Wan-Bissaka's got the same issue he had at Man United. He's a good defender, but in the modern game, when you want your wing-backs to go forward, he doesn't really do it. I mean, he had a great first game for them, and he made their team of the week, but it's just been kind of as he was at Man United after.
I mean, he would have been great under Moyes, though. That's the frustrating thing. I do think Lopetegui is possibly one of the names in the sack race as we're coming into sacking season.
Who else is in it, would you say?
Glasner.
I would say Glasner.
Has to be
Glasner, 100%
Yeah.
Glasner. Russell Martin as well, I think.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. We'll see. I guess Southampton are a team big enough to say we shouldn't have went down, and we kind of want to stay there. We're not want to be a yo-yo club, but I don't know. They were quite bad when they went down.
I mean, with Russell Martin in particular, I think he's making all of the same mistakes that Vincent Kompany made last season, but worse, and he's just not nearly as convincing in terms of his post-match interview. He's just a very odd guy, I think, and that worked for them in the Championship, but they are really not a good team this season, I don't think.
No, they flatter to deceive. You think they're a good team, and then by the end of the game, you realise they're not. They're one of those teams like they're good in spells, but they just make too many mistakes and do too many silly things, and they don't score enough goals. So
yeah.
Anyway, on to our VAR watch then, I guess. So there was two things in our VAR watch. I don't know if you want to talk us through the first one, Ryan. The Curtis Jones one.
So this is one. I mean, there were a few incidents in the Liverpool-Chelsea game, but this is an interesting one just because of the debate that surrounded it. So this is right on half-time, and Curtis Jones is breaking into the box again, completely leaving Tosin for dead again. Robert Sanchez comes out to meet him, gets the ball, and Jones tumbles quite acrobatically. Penalty was given on the pitch, and then VAR overturned it because Sanchez got the touch on the ball. There's been a lot of suggestion that it should have still been a penalty because although Sanchez touches the ball, he didn't get enough on it, and he still clattered through Jones. I think he quite clearly wins it, and I think unless you outlaw keepers coming out for a ball like that, I don't see how else he could have handled
the two
that.
of them are going for the ball. Why is it the keeper that's low that's fouling the person that's put it this way? Jones didn't get the ball, so you could argue he fouled Sanchez by running into him. You can absolutely make that argument. Because is he in control of the ball at that point? No, absolutely not. He's running on to try and get it. Keeper gets it first. He's in control of the ball. End of story. If we start doing that, then people
gets to it
falling over all the time.
He comfortably gets to it before he gets to Jones as well, which I think is the key thing. It's not like there's a toe on the ball as his other leg's going through Jones. There's Sanchez, there's the ball, and then there's Jones. And obviously Sanchez's momentum carries him through Jones, but there's a very clear point where Sanchez has
looks dramatic, and it looks as if Curtis Jones has been vaulted up in the air, right? But there's two things in part there. If MD's played football, you know that in a challenge like that, if you don't win the ball and you know the split second you're not going to win the ball, you lift your legs off the ground, because if you don't, you're going to get hurt worse. And you take the somersault and you maybe land on your back and you get winded, but you get up and you play tomorrow. You know what I mean? If you stand there and try and take that, that's when you get hurt. So I just don't think there's in any way whatsoever that was a penalty for me.
There was, I mean, the penalty that did get given, I think that was fairly straightforward. It was a clumsy challenge by Colwill.
Absolutely.
Dave, you shared one on Sancho. I personally don't see it, but go
I can't remember what happened. I just remember thinking, that's a penalty.
Well, okay, absolute miscarriage of justice there then, and Chelsea were robbed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just got bleeding glasses on.
You could make an argument that Newcastle should have the penalty as well, but I won't.
I didn't say it. It's a pretty cut game.
And then the second VAR watch was City's winner against Wolves, which was given, and then it was flagged offside, and then it went to VAR, and then it was given again. I think it's the sequence of events, and I think me and Cam both immediately went that there's no way that that's an obstruction on the keeper. It's a goal. It's fine. Bernardo Silva is 3'0", and Jose Sar's the size of a goalkeeper, so how could he possibly be interfering? My dad was sat next to me at the time watching it, and he was probably with his Man United hat on, going, absolutely no way should that be a goal. This is ridiculous. Because my dad is like that. Hi, Dad, if you're watching. But what I think is the distinction. I think Silva does absolutely interfere with Sarr. He gets, he's touch tight, he's shoving in and all that. But at the time he's doing it, he can't be offside because the corner hasn't been taken yet. Yeah. As soon as the corner is taken and it gets to Stones, Silva has gotten completely out of the way. The header is straight at Sarr. Sarr puts his hands up. It just goes through his hands. So he's clearly still able to make the save. So I think it's an absolutely fair goal, personally.
I just hate the strategy. I think interfering with keepers. I hate it so much. Just feels like such. It doesn't feel like Premier League football, It just feels like cheating almost. Let's take the keeper out of the game.
They used to do more of it back in the day. You used to not get so many fouls against the keeper back in the day. You used to walk up and smash them and all that. Those big centre forwards that used just to dominate keepers. I mean, so it's a part of football. It's been there longer than keepers have had protection for. So
I just feel like there's more of it nowadays. It's such a cheap tactic. But if they can do it, why wouldn't you?
I think as well, maybe part of the reason why it feels bad, and no offense to Kyle for what I'm about to say, but I think it's part of the sort of American footballization of our football, in that you've got set play coaches who are drilling really rehearsed moves, and a lot of that has to do with screening. Similar to Brentford with their kickoffs, they're treating that as a set play with set running patterns, and this is how we're going to get up the pitch. Maybe that's why it feels a bit odd, because it's not as fluid as we're used to.
I think that's just better tactics, and we're used to just teams going 4-4-2. We attack you, you attack us. Let's see who's got the better players. And you know what? The Premier League's evolved beyond that now, and that's why it is such a high level league, because the foreign teams, and I say foreign, I mean outside of the UK, obviously, and I'm thinking European teams have always done these things. I mean, the Italians have won so many trophies playing like that. You go into international football, the Argentinians have done it. They bring their players up trained in those dark arts, from day one. And I think it's just as we're bringing in that level of player to the league and that level of manager, we're seeing that level of tactics. It's so you must win. You cannot get beat or you're at a job, and the managers will do anything they can to get a win.
And I suppose the way of winning consistently is making sure that what you're doing is repeatable, and that's where it comes from as well.
Small margins and all that. I just want to say about Gary O'Neill, though.
I was just going to say,
and it's just shut the fuck up, Gary. You are, honestly, I like you, right? I like you. You're a good manager. I think you've done a really good job with Wolves. But shut the fuck up, mate. See this, looking at the one that happened to you last time and going about, how this is kind of biased towards the big teams, even though you're not really saying that. It's a lot of shit, mate. Anybody that's ever known football can see that your guy was stood in front of the keeper like a fucking cardboard cutout, and that's why it was chopped off. Bernardo Silva is like, he's a hobbit and he's ducked into his fucking hobbit hole 10 minutes.
Can I just, I'd like to claim that, because I described him as a hobbit in the group chat earlier on, so I'm claiming that one.
Feel free.
He's absolutely
that's
a hobbit,
probably where I picked it up from, to be perfectly honest. And it's just they're not comparable incidents, Gary, so just move on, shut the fuck up. It's shite you get beat at the end of the game. I get it, you're bottom of the league, but this was not the fight to fight.
Yeah, I think he's barking up the wrong tree on this call, because I do think it's the right call. I do think what he says about unconscious bias towards big clubs and towards home teams has some sense to it.
But I don't. Right. He's probably right.
You can't fix it though. Just by its very nature, you don't know that you're doing it as you're being biased, and the only way to fix it is to really slow the game down, and you do that, and people moan that VAR takes too long.
To become a big team yourself. And as we talked about last week in our special PSR episode, that's not possible. So anyway.
So yeah, that's VAR Watch.
It's a VAR Watch.
That is VAR Watch. It was.
Well,
yeah.
I guess next up is a chance for me to just talk a little bit about Newcastle. It won't take long. It was a very strange game, and what I expected, and I was seeing this in the media, is like praise for how well Brighton defended, how dogged their defending was. See if you watch the game, and this is the truth, right? Not a single Brighton player, apart from 10 seconds of Danny Welbeck, done fuck all the entire game. They were shit. The defence were rubbish. They let us have numerous chances, but our final ball was terrible. It wasn't their defending that did any of that. We had several one-on-ones with the keeper. The keeper saved them. That's why he's in Team of the Week. He had a great game. If you take Verbruggen and Welbeck and you put them into the Newcastle team instead of Isaac and Pope, we win that game 5-0, and it's the most comfortable win of the season. So all this talk about Brighton, they were lucky. They were lucky that their keeper had a great game and we had an off day in front of goal. It's as simple as that. We dominated the game from start to finish.
I only watched it on Match of the Day, obviously, but the way they presented it was, yes, fine, Newcastle were very dominant and Brighton's goal was a lump up field and it was lucky and all that. But about 70 minutes in, Karu Mitoma came on and he looked like he was causing some trouble by the end of the game.
To be fair, by the end of the game, the last 20 minutes, they were a bit more of a threat. But by that time, we had made a lot of attacking subs now and we're pushing kind of quite open and we're leaving a bit of space, which they're trying to exploit. To be fair, they had one chance, and I think it was Mitoma that put it like high and wide. That was a decent chance they had. Pope never had anything else to do apart from just pick it up the rest of the game, even when they were having. So their counters weren't even that good. I mean, that was the only time, that counter when they scored the goal, that it was effective. And in my opinion, it was poor defending from a couple of Newcastle players that allowed that to happen, rather than some great skill by Welbeck. But fair play to him, he's the only man in the park that put the ball in the back of the net. So, you know, he deserves some praise for that, because our players couldn't do it. But I mean, Isaac should have scored. Gordon should have scored. These are supposedly world-class players that had one-on-ones with the keeper. If you don't score, you don't win. We had so many things in front of the goal where if they just passed it to the side, somebody would have had a clear shot, but somebody hits it over the bar, and they don't show that stuff in Match of the Day. They never do for us. They always make it look. I was actually wondering how they would make it look like Brighton dominated us. I was like, I'm not sure they'll be able to pull this off. I mean, we'll get 2 seconds of footage, which is just Welbeck's goal, Matoma's chance at the end, and then how interview gone. We played well, you know.
I mean, even the analysis at the end was just Gary going, "Oh, Alan, you should have won that game, shouldn't you?" "Oh, yeah, we should." "That's it. Right, cool. We're back for Match of the Day 2 tomorrow. Off you go."
It was honestly a bizarre game. And what really annoyed me, and you're absolutely right about those online polls, because I looked at our game, every Newcastle player was like 5.8 at best. Every Brighton player, especially their defence, is like 8 and all that. Like Lewis Dunk has a great game. I was watching him giving stupid fouls to give us advantages in stupid places that he didn't need to. I was watching him getting roasted by players and being nowhere when they passed him. I mean, Gordon was literally burning past them at will and then cutting it back, and then whoever it went to just fluffed it. Absolutely. You know, it was just a weird game.
Yeah, anyway, I mean, I saw quite a few sort of Lewis Dunk for England calls again during that game, even though every time he's put on an English shirt, he's embarrassed himself.
And I remember one time I'm fouling, really, it was quite a bad foul on Gordon, and afterwards he's like, and Gordon's like, mate, you literally come in and just swiped my legs out from under me. What do you want me to do? I mean, I know he's probably thinking, right, I'm a bit of a diver, but I did not dive in this instance. You fucking took me out. I don't know. It was a weird game, and I think what's his name? I can't mind his name. That Wayne, he's young enough to be my son, literally. That's managing Brighton. I can't remember his name. Yeah, he was going on about how well they done in that, and then again, I think, mate, what you should have done is I don't know how we won that. Well done, Welbeck, but we got smashed. But hey, 3 points. We'll play better next week. That's the only interview you needed to give at the end of that game, honestly. Anyway, on to your game, Ryan.
Yeah. I mean, this was a rare 3 o'clock kickoff for United, so I only saw the match of the day highlights. But following it as it was happening, just looking at score updates, I saw we went 1-0 down at half time, and I saw that we pulled it back to 2-1. I was like, I bet we just absolutely ground our way to this. I was quite pleasantly surprised when I watched match of the day. I thought the front four in particular really combined in a way that they haven't done all season, and really didn't do all of last season. I thought Højlund's hold-up play was the best I've seen from him. His finish was really good for his goal, as was the assist from Bruno. Rashford looked really hungry and was really sort of driving at everything. And again, he put in an absolute peach for cross for Garnacho to score the equaliser. And just we were doing what a Ten Hag team looks like it should be doing. We were hitting the front early. The front were combining and being fluid and interchanging positions. And really, for a team like Brentford, who've caused us problems in the past and really can cause teams problems, I just think we looked really comfortable against them in a way that I didn't expect us to at all. I mean, I had us down to lose, but if we were going to win, I wasn't expecting it to be quite that straightforward, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it would be closer than it was.
So I only saw the highlights as well because it was on at the same time as Newcastle game, so I was watching that. But from what I saw, I mean, the best team won. So, and I do think Højlund's definitely your number one striker ahead of Zirkzee for now. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Zirkzee won't get better in the future, but right now I just think Højlund's the better option. I think he just seems a bit more dangerous.
It's what we need.
I don't think Zirkzee, and we knew this going into it, Zirkzee's not a number 9. He drops too deep. He's not got the killer instinct in the box. Højlund, he has got faults, but what he is a good finisher in the box. He's
a good finish.
When a chance comes to him, he takes it. It's just whether his positioning or whether his the other aspects of his forward play are quite up there. I would
only
prefer,
a lad though, and that's part of what you learn. Finishing sometimes is the natural thing. Everybody can you just can't teach that almost. But the other things where
it's hard as well.
You can teach that.
It's hard as well in an attack as disjointed as ours, because we don't have, like I said, we don't have those repeatable set patterns of play to say you're going to make this run, the ball's going to come to you like this, you're going to finish it like that. We don't do that, and that's the big problem with us. But Zirkzee, I think, all things being equal, I'd like to see him used as a rotation option for Bruno. Bruno's banned in the Europa League now. Mount's not quite fit, so I think Zirkzee's the natural choice to play that role, because he does drop deeper, he does link up with the other forwards better, and if he's playing off someone like Højlund, I think that could be quite useful in certain situations. I think going forward, I think our midfield two ought to be Casemiro and Ugarte as well. Because it means that Casemiro's not got to be solely responsible for the defensive stuff, but he can still sort of muck in. But Casemiro has got the passing range to get us up the pitch. Eriksen's done pretty well since he's come back into the side, but he hasn't got that same defensive capacity, I don't think. So that's what I'd like to see. And we might just actually see a natural left back in the next few weeks, because Malacia is back in training. Shaw is potentially back in training. I know. Malacia exists. And also I saw today that Lenny Yoro is back training on the pitch as well. I don't know if he's in full team training yet, but he is back on the grass, which is great to see. So Johnny Evans can finally rest. But yeah, I don't think it's a complete game changer, but it was nice to have a fairly serene performance, which is all going to go to shit when we go to Turkey and meet Jose Mourinho's lot on Thursday. But
we'll see. Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to watching that one, just because
it'll be a good game. It'll be a good game. It's going to be painful viewing for me, but it'll be entertaining if nothing else.
You never know.
What kind of team do you think you'll put out, Ryan?
Oh, sorry.
I think we've got to put out a strong team, because they're Porto were the only other really strong team that we've got we haven't got a win yet in the Europa League. We need to win this. We have taken a few youngsters out, and obviously Bruno being suspended changes things. But I think we'll go fairly strong because we've got West Ham on Sunday, and I think we could maybe rest a couple for that one.
Yeah, see. Dave, I know you didn't really watch much football, and you want to say about it. I know your team get beat at the friend, you want to say about your
but I kind of want to praise Slot a bit. I think he's come into Liverpool, and I think we all thought, Klopp's gone now, we're really going to struggle now he's gone, but he's come in and he's changed a few things, but not a lot, and he's kind of put his own touch in it, but he's a smart manager, and you can see that out there. And they let Chelsea have a lot of the ball, and they shut out Palmer. I think that was all they really needed to do. We really struggle. Chelsea being at best this year on the counter, so when we have possession of the ball, we're not so good at the low blocks. So, but yeah, Liverpool were good. I hate it. But we might be in a bit of trouble this year, Liverpool. We've got, is it Trent, Van Dijk, and who else without a contract? Salah.
Salah, and I think Alisson as well, isn't it?
I don't know what's going on there.
I think Trent's absolutely going to Real Madrid. I think that's.
Yeah, I think Trent might go. I think Van Dijk will stay. I think.
Yeah, I don't see where Van Dijk ends up, to be honest.
Do you think we're all waiting to see which one makes a move first? Like if one leaves, then they might be more inclined to leave themselves. I don't know.
I mean, I think Trent's
got a really good guy in here.
Madashvili to replace Alisson, so I think
I think Trent's in a slightly different place to them because he's achieved everything he can achieve with Liverpool, but he's still young enough to go and do other stuff. He's quite good mates with Jude Bellingham as well, and Carvajal is sort of, I say he's aging out. He's my age, but he's getting on a bit. So there's going to be a clear spot for him at right back. Over in Real Madrid, and
because Carvajal's a great defender.
Carvajal is a fantastic player. Yeah,
brick wall.
It is just
Trent.
It is just vibes FC at Real Madrid, and Trent only adds to that. But I think that's a clear one. Salah, I think, is going to end up in Saudi Arabia. It's just a slam dunk for everyone, that isn't it? Really. But Van Dijk, I don't know who would want to pick him up. Maybe Barcelona pick him up. He seems like a sort of current Barcelona signing, doesn't he?
Yeah, if they like a free transfer as well, they probably want to follow that Real Madrid.
And a Dutchman and Barcelona, it just sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
There was talk of him signing a new contract though, Van Dijk.
I could see him stay. I could see him staying because I don't think there's many other places that he could go unless he wants to take a step down and take his retirement deal. But
Liverpool might have to rebuild a little bit, but who knows what they'll do this year, and then kind of next year they'll get that time, especially if Slot proved they can do it with kind of Klopp's team. They'll give him time to build his own team. So all right. Well, anything else anybody wants to say about that before we do our predictions?
No, I think that's
so our predictions for next week will be brought up on the screen. I can't even remember what games they're actually playing. I quickly come in from what just filled in some scores because I was the last one.
Super Sunday's looking very tasty.
I was running behind.
Yes, Sunday's looking very good. You got Chelsea versus Newcastle.
Arsenal
West Ham,
Liverpool.
United, and Arsenal, Liverpool. Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm looking forward to that one right enough.
We got a Friday night game, Leicester and Forest, which should be tasty.
Yeah,
it's an odd choice for a Friday night game, but it should be tasty. And really, there's not many. Villa Bournemouth could be good, yeah. Because Villa I'm watching Villa versus Bologna, and they're struggling a bit, to be honest. But yeah.
It could be a few good games, to be honest, but obviously we'll see what happens when we get in next week and we record the show, and we'll let you know what happened and what we thought of it. But I think we'll finish up there for the night. There's no shithouse of the week this week, or nothing at least that was a contender enough for us to put it in. Any last words, boys? It seems not. Okay.
No.
So remember to check out the 13 Days of Terror, Kel's Genreverse on the Genreverse channel. That's up there now if you're into kind of Halloween stuff. Maybe we should, when we do our show around about Halloween, we should get dressed up, lads. Only
next
that would
week,
be horrific. That would be horrific. So we won't do that. But anyway, thanks very much.
Just wear your Man United shirt.
And we'll... yeah. A lot of people could say we're dressed up like clowns every week. There you go. Bye-bye. See you next week, guys.
See you later, guys.
Yeah.